Hello and welcome to another review from Colour with Claire. Today I'm very excited to bring to you the full set of Caran Luminance pencils. This is a 76 set and currently the largest set you can buy. Now these pencils are very commonly known as being one of, if not the best coloured pencil, and they are most commonly used by the professionals, the coloured pencil artists. So I'm going to be going through these pencils with a fine-tooth comb, coming at it from a colourist's point of view rather than an artist's. So we're going to be doing a bit of colouring with them, we're going to be swatching them out, and also we're going to be looking at all the important things that we need to know when we're colouring, like how many layers you can do with the pencils, how well they blend, how well they burnish, and things like that. So first of all, the box itself. Now I know that a lot of colourists prefer a tin because of the durability, but honestly this box is so well made, and it's just nothing that I wouldn't come to expect when we come to Luminance pencils anyway, so it really does match the quality of the pencils. The box is very rigid, tough cardboard. And if we just look on the underside of the lid, you may be able to see that there is a piece of foam stuck to the lid, and this is very thick, very dense foam that protects the pencils underneath. Now if you lift out each pencil tray with these beautiful velvety little lifters at the side, you will be able to see that underneath each tray again is a piece of that foam, and this continues all the way down the tiers of the pencils, so every single tray is protected fully. You'll also notice that this dense foam is repeated around the pencil, so each pencil has its own little groove, and you can just release them very easily and pop them back. And this foam is really thick and very protective, and that's just all over and all around the pencil, so a very good box to keep them in. So we have the front, which obviously looks like this, and then the back gives you all the information about the pencils in several different languages. We have the colour swatches here with the numbers, and then at the bottom we've got a bit of a timeline of Caran products. So you can see that Caran started in 1915. We then have the Neocolour 2 crayons, which I used not long ago on the channel, which were made in 1974, and we go all the way down these different products until we get to 2008, which is when Luminance was born. So these are a fairly young product with Caran compared to the other things that it has already from decades ago. Okay, so let's get into the pencils, because I know that that is what you all want to see. Now the pencils themselves are made from California cedar wood, and that comes from FSC certified forests, so very sustainable, very environmentally friendly. The barrel is really thick and chunky to hold, and it contains a 3.8mm lead, which is very thick, very durable, and very strong. Now, the lettering on the pencil is quite difficult to see, and that's probably the only bad thing about these pencils, is that the silver lettering can be quite hard to read. So hopefully you can see here that we have the name Luminance 6901. On the other side it says permanent colour. We have the light fast rating, which is LF1 on this pencil, excuse me, and then the FSC little tree to show you it's environmentally friendly. On the top here we've got the colour dipped end, which is glossy, and it shows you what the colours look like. And then underneath you have the colour name. So this particular one is Alizarin Crimson Hue, and the name is both in English and Swiss. We also have a number, this is number 589, so that you can find more easily when you're charting your pencils. There's also a barcode on this side, which is obviously for ordering purposes, but other than that it's a very simple design, very plain but very beautiful and quite professional looking with the wood grain there. So what is so great about these pencils? Why does everyone laud them so much? I'll tell you why. It's the light fast rating. Now, light fastness to colourists isn't usually a major deal. It's more for professionals and people that hang their artwork in museums, galleries and exhibitions. What does light fast even mean? Well, in very basic terms, and I won't pretend to know exactly everything about it, It basically means the fade proofness of the pencils. So for example, if you coloured a picture and you put it in a gallery, or even just put it up on the wall in bright light all day, every day, normal natural sunlight, it will start to fade after a while. Normal pencils, the colour will turn sort of yellowish and it just won't look as vibrant as it did on day one when you coloured it. The light fastness rating is what determines how quickly they fade. So all of the Caran Luminance pencils are light fast rated 1 and 2, which is the absolute top light fastness rating you can get. So they are all incredibly light fast. So in 100 years time, when your picture's hung on the wall, these colours will still be as vibrant as they were the day that you coloured it. And that is why it's so important for people who sell their art or create art on commission, that their artwork is going to last and be as vibrant as it was when they coloured it. So that is why these pencils have a massive price tag and a really big sort of following. It's the light fast rating. But if you're a colourist who just colours in colouring books and you're not too bothered about fading and things like that, then you don't have to sort of worry that you need the luminance pencils, you need the light fast. But saying that, if you're going to frame your colouring, if you're going to display it, if you want to give it as a gift, if you take your colouring really seriously and you're a very, very talented artist who wants to display things, then luminance are perfect, because you're just not going to get any light faster than these. I don't know if light fast is a word, but it is now. Okay, so the research that went into these pencils is incredible. They were developed over 2 years in Geneva. So the formulation that makes these light fast was done over a 2-year period, and it really was very painstakingly created so that every single colour could have that light fastness. Usually pinks and purples are the worst colours to get light fast. I don't know, it's something about the pigment of purple that doesn't seem to like being light fast, but Luminance have managed it over those 2 years. So let's go through the colours and the trays now that I've done the boring bit. Okay, so we have our whites, and there is 2 whites. We have a pure white, and then we have a colour called Buff Titanium, which is a kind of off-white, creamy, kind of ivory colour, but very, very pale as well. We then have some light yellows. We're going into our bright oranges and reds, into our dark reds and pinks, then across our blue range into our aquas. Following on from that, getting into our greens, then turning from the bright greens into the moss and ochre type greens, yellow ochres, and then the kind of skin tone colours that you would most commonly use, like your siennas and umbers. We've then got some light pinks and purples here, and a few different unusual tones that you could use for skin, like the apricot colour. And then we have a few more lighter hues of ochres, French greys, and then your black. This set also comes with 2 blender sticks, and these are full blenders, so there's no casing on these whatsoever. You can use every single tiny millimetre of this as a blending medium, so we'll be going through that a bit later in the review. So there are 3 trays in total, so that is the basics of the 76 set. So another question that I want to clear up very quickly before we move on to swatching them and testing them out is, are these pencils wax or oil based? And the answer, unfortunately, is not that simple. And it's not straightforward, because every single coloured pencil is made of some wax and some oil. So you won't find a coloured pencil that is completely oil based and completely wax based. The difference is between the pencils like Prismacolors and Polychromos is that one of them is predominantly wax based and the other is predominantly oil based. So you'll find in the formulation of the pencils that Prismacolors have more wax than oil and Polychromos have more oil than wax, but there is both included in the formulation. Now, exact formulations of coloured pencils are kept top secret, which of course you would imagine after 2 years of research into the perfect formulation for pencils. So with the Luminance, we're not really told exactly what they are, but they have more oil than wax. yet they feel like a wax-based pencil when you're using them. So they really are the best of both worlds. A lot of people love polychromos because of the quality. They don't have a wax bloom because they're oil-based predominantly. But a lot of people love Prismacolors because they're very, very soft and they blend easily. But again, they do produce that horrible, misty, milky wax bloom after a while that you do have to keep wiping off with a cloth. The brilliant thing about Luminance is, as I say, they feel more like Prismas when you're using them. So they do have that very soft, very creamy, very buttery lead, but they do not create wax bloom. So they kind of have the perfect mixture. Now, the other thing to note about them is, even though they do feel more like a Prismacolor, they are much more durable and much more strong. Prismas are incredibly crumbly. They tend to break a lot, especially when you're sharpening them, and you seem to wear them down very, very quickly and need to sharpen them again and again. With Luminance, you do have that feel of the Prismacolor, but you don't need to sharpen them as often, and they do not break as often. Plus, they don't create as much of that crumble as Prismas do, so they really are perfect in that sense. Okay, so now we're going to move on to swatching out every single colour and just seeing what kind of palette we've got within this set. As you can see, we start off with some brights, but in general the Luminance colours are quite earthy and tonal. The palette really is unlike any other colour pencil set. These are shades that you'd use when colouring landscapes and portraiture, which is what I'm certain this palette has been created for more than anything. Luminance are the most lauded pencils by coloured pencil artists, and I have to assume that aside from the build quality and the light fastness, a big factor are these neutral muted tones found most commonly in wildlife and of course skin tone. There are a lot of percentage colours in this set, like in Prismacolor where you have percentages of warm and cool greys. Luminance take this one step further and include several percentages of burnt ochre, brown ochre, raw umber, burnt sienna, olive brown, French grey, Payne's grey and even sepia. Having this wide tonal range, particularly in the browns, is ideal for getting super smooth blends that follow on from one another seamlessly, which is exactly what you want when colouring skin, for example. Okay, so I've been having a play with the Luminance pencils and I've created a sheet with all different kinds of things that we needed to test the pencils on. So first of all, we're going to start with the layers. Now, Luminance seem to be able to layer infinitively, so I've done 6 different swatches here. This is 1 layer, 2 layers, 3 and so on, and even on the 6th layer it's still not fully burnished. It's still got loads of tooth to play with and you can add even more layers on top. So if you are a colourist who loves to layer and layer, the Luminance will not let you down on that front. Next up we've got blending, and here I decided to do quite a few different blending tests with different mediums. So first of all I just started off with the 2 Luminance pencils on their own and created a 2 pencil blend without any kind of solution or blending pencil or anything. So we used a red and an orange, and as you can see the 2 pencil blend is absolutely beautiful. It's almost seamless and it doesn't obviously take away any of the intensity of colour because we're not using anything on top to blend it. So out of all of them, my favourite is just a simple 2 pencil blend. I then moved on to blend with the Luminance White. Now the white in the Luminance set is very, very opaque and it's going to be beautiful for adding highlights and things to your colouring because it does have that opacity and it's not hard or scratchy. So blending with white is again another beautiful blend, but with the white it does take out some of the vibrancy and the vividity of colour, so you do have to watch that if you're worried about that. Next up I used the Caran full blender stick, which I have sharpened up so we've got a little point on there, and to be honest with you I wasn't impressed with the Caran full blender. As you can see there's still a lot of harsh lines within the blend and it hasn't really merged the 2 colours together anywhere near as well as the first 2. I then used the Spectrum Noir Odorless Mineral Spirits. I painted this on with a paintbrush, and even though the blend is quite nice, it does look quite patchy and it's just not as smooth as I would like. Very similar results again with the alcohol marker. So this is pure alcohol ink without any colour in it whatsoever. It's completely colourless and it does leave quite a few streaks on there as well. And then finally I thought I would try a blue and yellow mix to see what kind of results we get when we're using two different colours and we're wanting to create a third colour. So as you can see, I've started with a light blue and a light yellow on either side of the circle, and they've met in the middle to create a lovely light green. So overall, I would say 2 pencil blend, or even blend in with the white if you want to create seamless results. And another top tip when you're blending to get that beautiful smooth colour is to always blend in the opposite direction to where you coloured. So for example, if you coloured this way in strokes like this, always blend that way, so the opposite way, and it will be a lot smoother. Next up, we're looking at erasing. So here we've got a light layer of blue, a medium layer, and then full pressure, so that's completely burnished at the end there. And erasing wise, they do okay. I mean, there's not an awful lot of pickup on the first one. It's better on the medium one, and it's pretty good on the full pressure to say that that's completely thickly burnished piece there, but not brilliant at erasing. So if that's something that you're looking for, then you might struggle a little bit. Now we've got the black comparison here, and I always like to see which coloured pencils are the blackest, because it is important, we do like to have a good true black rather than a dark grey. So I've put the luminance down here and I've compared it with Prismacolor, Polychromos, Holbein, Derwent Lightfast, that's the new Derwent range, Lyra and Crayola. And I'm not sure whether the camera's picking this up. It does look like on camera that the luminance and the Crayola are probably the blackest, but here in person, to my eye, it's between the Prisma and the Lyra that are actually blackest. So luminance isn't too bad, it's still really nice and black. It's got no grey in it, but it's not that kind of deep black hole, pure black that you find with the Prisma. Next up, we've got smudging. So I've done a pretty light layer, sort of light to medium layer on this side, and then I've done a fully burnished piece there on the right hand side, and I've used a very sweaty, very hard pressure to smudge it. And yes, there is some smudge there, but to be honest, when you're going, if you sort of brush it sort of by accident or very lightly, you're not going to get anywhere near that result. That is just completely hard pressure on there. Finally, we have the pricing. So as we know, with these being the premium quality pencil, with them having that spectacular Lightfast rating and everything else taken into account, how well they blend, etc, etc, there is going to be a large price tag on these, and yes, there is. So you can buy them in packs of 12, 20, 40 and 76, which is the full set, and your prices are listed here. So I've put the plus on the end because these are sort of the cheapest that I could find them at the present time, but obviously you can get them at a bit higher price in different places. So this is around about the base price you can get them for. So for the 12 pack, you're looking at £30, which is an incredible amount of money for 12 pencils. Again, $45. 20 pack, £42 and $45. For the 40 pack, you're looking around about £85 or $118, and for the full 76 set, between £160 and £180 in the UK and in excess of $230 in the US. Now, you know that I always recommend that you try open stock on any new pencil that you're coming into contact with. So don't run out and buy the whole set of luminance in one go and blow your budget, because you might get them and they might not be what you're expecting, or they might not work so well for you. You might prefer something that's a little bit different, maybe not as soft. It's completely the colourist's preference, which is why I always say grab a few pencils open stock and test them out first before committing. Now, the cheapest place I can find open stock luminance is at cultpens.com, and they're currently £2.89 per pencil, which I know sounds like a lot, but believe me, pretty much everywhere else you're looking at between £3.50 and £4.50 per pencil. So £2.89 is actually pretty reasonable where luminance are concerned. So pop onto Cult Pens, order yourself a handful of pencils just to try them out, maybe in similar colours so that you can see how they blend, and then see how you feel. So that brings us to the end of our testing of the Luminance set of 76. I can honestly say that they are the best quality pencils I've used in terms of how they blend, and of course that high light fast rating. And even if the light fast isn't important to you, they are a brilliant coloured pencil. And just looking at that 2 pencil blend there, I know it's a small sample, but it's absolutely beautiful how seamless that is. And I can't get even Prismas that seamless, and I use those all the time. So I'm really happy with the Luminance. They are definitely going to be getting a lot of use in my colouring, and I would love to know what you think about the Luminance, if you've already got them or if you have picked up anything from the review today that you want to ask about. Don't forget, I'm going to be leaving links in the description for you to buy and go and have a look at different sets of Luminance, but please do try some open stock first. Let me know in the comments, like I say, what you think. Do click the thumbs up if you've enjoyed this review and demo, and I will see you soon on Colour with Claire.